What if I told you that 82% of cars never make it past 150,000 miles, yet mine blasted past 500,000 without a rebuild? And no, it wasn't luck. The real killers of modern engines aren't age or mileage, but the hidden secrets the auto industry hope you never discover. Today, we're tearing down that wall of silence. I'm revealing 17 brutally honest, data-backed, mechanic-approved longevity hacks that can push your car past 700,000-mile running smooth, strong, and far more reliably than the manufacturers ever intended. And whatever you do, don't miss habit number 5, because it's the one that prevents the most expensive failure in your entire car. Let's dive in. Trick number 17, the smart 3K oil rule. Most drivers trust the 10,000-mile oil change interval printed in the owner's manual. But those numbers are designed for ideal conditions and low-maintenance marketing, not real-world driving. Engines don't wear out because they get old. They wear out because dirty, broken-down oil stops, protecting metal parts long before that 10,000 mark. Independent studies from AAA found that extended oil intervals increase internal wear by up to 40%, especially in cars that take short trips, sit in traffic, or run in hot or dusty climates. That's why engines that follow the manual still end up sludged, noisy, and tired by 120,000 miles. If you want your engine to last into the hundreds of thousands, the rule is simple. Fresh oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on how and where you drive. Hot climates like Arizona or Texas, thicker oil, such as 5W30 handles heat better. Colder regions like Minnesota or Canada, a thinner winter weight like 0W20 flows faster on startup, preventing dry friction. The manual gives you the oil spec, but your climate, driving habits, and engine age determine the interval. Combine high-quality synthetic oil with a shorter change cycle, and you create the single most effective barrier against timing, chain wear, bearing scoring, and sludge formation. And every time you change the oil, replace the oil filter, too. It traps the contaminants that your fresh oil shouldn't circulate with. Keep this habit tight because the next one protects something just as critical and twice as expensive to repair. Trick number 16, the transmission longevity routine. Far too many owners overlook their transmission fluid entirely until symptoms appear, like hesitant shifts, sudden jolts, or grinding noises. And at that stage, serious damage is often already done. The widespread belief is that today's automatics come with sealed-for-life fluid that never needs attention. Truth is that lifetime typically aligns more with the powertrain warranty period than true long-term durability, say beyond 200,000 or 300,000 miles. Excessive heat is the primary enemy here. Normal operating temps hover around 175 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. But every 20-degree jump beyond optimal dramatically shortens fluid life by having its effectiveness. Industry reports from transmission specialists indicate that the vast majority of automatic failures stem from degraded, overheated fluid rather than pure mechanical breakdowns. To keep your transmission performing flawlessly for the long haul, make this your standard. Refresh the automatic transmission fluid, ATF, every 30,000 to 50,000 miles, regardless of what the handbook says about it being permanent. New fluid maintains proper clutch engagement, seal conditioning, cooling properties, and seamless gear changes. This is especially crucial if you frequently tow loads, navigate heavy urban traffic, or deal with high ambient temperatures. Those scenarios cause rapid deterioration, turning proactive changes into one of the smartest ways to avoid a massive repair bill in the $4,000 to $6,000 range. One key caution: if the fluid has been overdue for years, skip aggressive machine flushes that could dislodge buildup and clog passages. Instead, perform gentle drain-in refill procedures multiple times if needed to gradually renew the system without risking further issues. Add regular inspections for any seepage around seals or a scorched odor from the dipstick, and you'll be providing the kind of care that lets high-mileage vehicles shift effortlessly for decades. Maintain this diligently, since the following advice prevents a subtle habit that's quietly wrecking your fuel delivery components and hitting your wallet at every fill-up. Trick number 15, the fuel tank filling safeguard. It might feel instinctive to squeeze in a bit more gas after the nozzle automatically stops, just to round up the total or maximize the tank. But this common practice is actually one of the quickest routes to expensive trouble in your vehicle's evaporative emissions setup. Pushing extra fuel past that initial shutoff forces liquid gasoline into the vapor recovery lines and saturates the activated charcoal canister, a component built solely to trap and recycle gas vapors, not handle raw liquid. Once soaked, the canister can crumble internally, releasing fine particles that clog purge valves, sensors, and hoses. The result? Symptoms like unsteady idle, difficulty starting, gasoline odors, illuminated warning lights, and eventual repairs ranging from $500 to over $1,500. The pump's click-off mechanism exists precisely to maintain proper tank pressure and safeguard the entire EVAP, evaporative emission control, network. Overfilling disrupts that balance and can even force fuel into areas it shouldn't go, particularly when heat causes expansion on warm days. Regulatory bodies and auto experts consistently advise against it, noting heightened failure rates in warmer regions, and manufacturers typically deny warranty claims for such user-induced issues. The fix is straightforward. Halt pumping immediately at the first solid click. Give the system space to manage vapors naturally, keeping everything dry and functional while dodging those frustrating and costly emissions faults down the line. Stay disciplined with this, as the next insight reveals a frequently ignored weak spot that gradually stresses your entire powertrain with every mile you drive. Trick number 14, the engine mount integrity check. There's no reason your power plant should rock, thud, or vibrate excessively, like it's fighting to break free from the chassis. Deteriorated engine mounts are among the most commonly ignored culprits behind harsh vibrations, uneven idle, and accelerated wear on connected parts. Data from nationwide service chains suggests that failing mounts play a role in a notable portion of drivetrain-related problems, often amplifying stresses that lead to secondary breakdowns. Ignoring them might seem harmless at first, but a simple $200 to $300 replacement early on can prevent thousands in follow-up damage. When mounts weaken, unchecked engine movement transfers shock loads to CV joints, hoses, exhaust components, and even the transmission housing, causing cracks, leaks, misalignment, and premature failures. Anyone can perform this easy at-home diagnostic. With the parking brake engaged and your foot firmly on the service brake, start the engine. Shift slowly into drive and observe. Excessive forward lurch, heavy cabin shutter, or steering wheel tremor signals trouble. Then repeat the process, shifting into reverse. Pronounced rocking or clunking in either gear is a clear warning sign. Beyond the obvious discomfort, faulty mounts allow the driveline to operate out of alignment, straining universal joints, flex pipes, and shift mechanisms over time. Addressing them promptly restores a refined, quiet ride and shields expensive surrounding parts from unnecessary punishment. Keep this check in your routine, because the upcoming habit corrects a long-standing winter misconception that actually harms your engine during those crucial first minutes each day. Trick number 13, the efficient cold start method. For decades, the conventional wisdom was to let your engine idle for several minutes, or even longer in freezing weather, to warm it up properly before moving. It seems sensible. Give everything time to heat evenly and lubricate fully. However, contemporary fuel-injected engines operate differently from older carbureted designs, and prolonged idling can cause more problems than it solves. During extended cold idling, richer fuel mixtures can wash oil film off cylinder walls, diluting the lubricant in the pan and promoting accelerated component wear. Studies from energy and automotive research groups show that unnecessary idling not only burns extra fuel, but can heighten friction-related damage during startup phases. The better modern approach: allow just 20 to 40 seconds of idle time post-startup for initial oil circulation and pressure buildup, then proceed with light, easy driving. This brief pause ensures basic lubrication, without excess fuel wash or prolonged low-load operation that delays full warm-up. Testing by various manufacturers demonstrates that gentle on-road driving brings engines to optimal temperature up to twice as fast as stationary idling, minimizing cold friction periods, improving combustion efficiency, and extending overall durability. Drivers adopting this updated technique often notice quieter cold operation, fewer initial rattles, better winter fuel economy, and smoother power delivery as temperatures rise. Ditch the outdated long idle habit. Opt for a quick start and moderate acceleration instead. Trick number 12. The essential coolant inspection protocol. Overheating rarely strikes out of nowhere. It's typically the result of a cooling system that's been slowly failing over an extended period, often without obvious warning signs. Plenty of owners rely heavily on those 100,000-mile or longer coolant service labels from the factory, figuring they're set for years. But everyday driving conditions paint a far different picture, with heat cycles, contaminants, and time causing the fluid to become increasingly acidic, depleting its vital anti-corrosion additives and allowing internal erosion on sensitive parts like aluminum heads, radiators, and water pumps. Independent engineering analyses indicate that allowing coolant to degrade significantly raises the chances of severe issues, such as head gasket breaches or warped components, well before any visible overheating occurs. An easy visual and sampling check can tell you exactly where you stand. Carefully drain a small amount from the bottom radiator drain valve or lowest hose into a clear container. Fresh, effective coolant appears vibrant and transparent in its specified color, often green, orange, or pink. If yours looks murky, brownish, contaminated with rust flakes, or thick with sludge, it's a strong indicator that corrosion protection has failed and a complete system refresh is urgently needed. While you're at it, perform a thorough external inspection. Scan underneath the radiator, around the water pump weep hole, heater core fittings, and all hose connections for traces of dried coolant residue in matching colors. These pinpoint small seeps that are inexpensive to address now, but can escalate to catastrophic overheating and major engine damage if left alone. For reliable long-term protection, refresh the coolant fully every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. Overriding any extended claims in the handbook, especially under demanding use like towing, idling in traffic, or extreme climates. Proactive cooling system care isn't just routine. It's your best safeguard against thousands in potential repair costs from overheating disasters. Hold on to this practice tightly, as the following strategy defends another overlooked area that can quietly accelerate engine aging far ahead of schedule. Trick number 11. Premium fuel defense strategy. Opting for the cheapest gas available might save a few cents per fill-up, but it's one of the quickest paths to premature internal engine deterioration that builds up invisibly over time. The harm isn't immediate, yet fuel injectors, valve seats, and combustion surfaces accumulate the effects of insufficient detergent packages in bargain fuels. In today's high-tech engines, particularly gasoline direct injection, GDI, setups operating at injector pressures exceeding 2,000 psi, even minor deposits can alter fuel atomization, leading to incomplete burns and hotspots. Comprehensive testing by AAA revealed that vehicles using non-top-tier fuels accumulated up to 19 times greater carbon deposits across key areas after just 4,000 miles of simulated driving compared to those on higher detergent options. This excess buildup directly translates to lost horsepower, higher fuel usage, rough running, and shortened lifespan for expensive parts like injectors and catalysts. The straightforward and cost-effective solution: prioritize top-tier certified fuels from licensed retailers whenever feasible. These include major names like Shell, Exxon, Chevron, Costco, and many others that exceed minimum standards with proven cleaning additives. Complement this by adding a reputable fuel system cleaner treatment every 3,000 to 4,000 miles for deeper decarbonizing action. Numerous owners of models from brands such as Toyota, BMW, Hyundai, and Chevrolet report marked improvements in idle stability, throttle crispness, and overall responsiveness after consistent use of quality fuel and periodic treatments. These steps actively dissolve residues, optimize spray efficiency, maintain cooler chamber temperatures, and preserve peak combustion cleanliness. Commit to this fuel approach diligently, since the upcoming routine targets a subtle drivetrain stressor that vibrates through the whole vehicle as it worsens. Trick number 10. Gentle shifting preservation method. The transmission ranks among your vehicle's priciest assemblies, yet it's remarkably vulnerable to everyday driver behaviors that seem minor but accumulate serious wear. Abrupt gear engagements, rapid reversals without pausing, or shifting out of drive/park while still creeping forward all impose sudden torque spikes on internal components. Repeatedly, These jolts fatigue synchronizers, strain clutch assemblies, and accelerate gear tooth degradation. Reports from major transmission repair networks suggest that aggressive or impatient shifting practices play a significant role in a large percentage of premature failures, even on lower mileage vehicles. The effective gentle shifting method is easy to adopt. Always bring the vehicle to a full standstill before selecting a new direction, then wait a brief moment, just 1 or 2 seconds, for engagement before accelerating. Similarly, ensure zero movement before moving the lever to park to avoid loading the parking mechanism. This short pause eliminates unnecessary grinding and shock on critical elements like clutch packs and planetary gears. Iconic reliable models such as the Honda Accord and Toyota Camry frequently surpass 300,000 miles with original transmissions, largely thanks to owners who prioritize smooth, deliberate shifts over hurried ones. Handle your transmission with care and patience. It's a fragile precision unit under the hood. Stay consistent here, because the next insight shifts focus to proper stopping techniques that preserve brakes, efficiency, and your budget. Trick number 9. Intake valve carbon renewal process. Carbon accumulation stands as one of the stealthiest threats to modern engine vitality, hitting gasoline direct injection, GDI, power plants hardest due to their design. Unlike older port injection systems where fuel spray naturally cleans the intake valves, GDI delivers fuel straight into the chambers, leaving valves exposed to blow-by oils, EGR gases, and combustion residues without any washing action. Gradually, tough layers coat the valve backs, ports, and crown areas, restricting airflow, disrupting mixture, promoting knock, and triggering misfires or hesitation. Technical papers and real-world teardowns show GDI setups can suffer noticeable drops in output and economy, sometimes up to several percent, by mid-mileage solely from these deposits. The reliable renewal process doesn't require exotic tools. Schedule a professional carbon removal service every 40,000 to 60,000 miles, using methods like media blasting, e.g., walnut shells, targeted chemical soaking, or controlled induction cleaning to safely strip away buildup without harming surfaces. This essentially restores the engine's breathing capacity for full power delivery and efficient burning. Turbocharged and high-performance applications from makers like Audi, BMW, Hyundai, and Ford see the greatest gains, often regaining lost pep and mileage. Watch for telltale symptoms like uneven idle quality, sluggish acceleration response, or unexplained dips in fuel returns. These signal deposits are already impacting performance. Maintain clear intake paths, and your power plant will operate with factory-fresh vigor. Keep this renewal on schedule, as the following practice safeguards a parking-related component that's surprisingly costly when neglected. Trick number 8. Secure parking load transfer technique. Plenty of owners assume shifting straight into park fully secures the vehicle, relying on that tiny internal pawl to bear the full burden, especially on any slope. But this routine quietly overloads a delicate transmission part known as the parking pawl, a small locking pin designed only as a secondary safeguard, not the primary holder against thousands of pounds of vehicle mass. When it bends, strips, or snaps from repeated stress, replacement involves dropping the transmission or major disassembly, often running $1,000 to $2,000 or more. Service data from shops nationwide highlights this as a recurring issue in everything from sedans to trucks parked habitually on inclines without additional braking support. The secure technique adds mere seconds but dramatically extends pawl life. Upon stopping, keep your foot on the brake, firmly apply the parking emergency brake first to anchor the wheels, allow the vehicle to settle slightly, and only then shift into park. This properly transfers holding forces to the brake system, sparing the transmission from undue strain. Experts in drivetrain longevity note this habit can cut parking mechanism wear substantially, up to 70% in some estimates, particularly benefiting heavier or older models from Honda, Toyota, Subaru, and others prone to higher loads. It's universally applicable across automatics, CVTs, and even many modern EVs with mechanical park locks, doubling as a basic safety measure against unintended rollaway. Make it automatic every time you park, preventing a simple oversight from turning into a major expense and ensuring your transmission endures beyond 250,000 miles effortlessly. Trick number 7. Electrical connection safeguard routine. The whole electrical network in your vehicle relies on a handful of critical cables and connections that rarely get any attention until problems erupt. Loose or corroded battery posts and poor ground straps don't merely lead to sluggish cranking. They spark a cascade of bizarre faults that mimic expensive failures in modules, sensors, or even the transmission control. Certified mechanics from organizations like ASE frequently note that around 30% of intermittent no-code electrical gremlins trace back to compromised grounds or terminals, not defective components. This means countless owners spend hundreds on new ECUs, oxygen sensors, or alternators when a basic cleaning and tightening would have resolved everything for under $20. The maintenance is quick and straightforward. Open the hood periodically, inspect the battery terminals for powdery white buildup. Verify clamps are snug without wiggling, and trace the main ground cables to their attachment points on the chassis or engine block for signs of rust or looseness. Use a wire brush or terminal cleaner to remove oxidation. Secure everything firmly, and coat the connections with dielectric grease to block future moisture intrusion. Performing this check alongside every oil change ensures consistent voltage delivery, reduces strain on the charging system, and eliminates hard start issues, particularly valuable during winter when electrical demands peak. The real payoff: solid connections extend the lifespan of your starter motor and alternator dramatically, sparing you replacement costs that commonly range from $400 to $1,000. Maintain these foundational links impeccably, because the upcoming strategy recalibrates a key engine component that often gets misdiagnosed as a hardware problem. Trick number 6. Electronic throttle relearn procedure. The throttle body in modern vehicles operates as a sophisticated fly-by-wire system that's far more complex than older mechanical setups, and it can develop learned irregularities that degrade drivability without any physical breakdown. After events like battery disconnection, jump starts, or prolonged urban driving with frequent throttle inputs, you might notice sluggish response, fluctuating idle speeds, hesitation off the line, or excessive RPM hang when decelerating. Surprisingly, many of these issues stem from corrupted adaptive values in the engine computer rather than dirt or worn parts. Today's ECUs constantly adjust to driving patterns, monitoring airflow, fuel trims, and pedal positioning. Over time, those adaptations can drift into inefficiency. Performing a deliberate throttle body reset clears the outdated data and prompts the system to relearn proper baseline parameters from scratch. This simple recalibration delivers noticeable benefits across a wide range of makes, including Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Ford, BMW, and virtually all drive-by-wire vehicles. For example, owners of mid-2010s Toyota Camrys and similar models often report dramatically smoother idle quality and sharper throttle response immediately after the procedure, with no new components installed. The process requires under 2 minutes. With the engine off, turn the ignition to the on position, dash lights illuminated but no cranking. Slowly depress the accelerator pedal fully to the floor and hold for 10 to 15 seconds. Then turn the key off completely and release the pedal. Wait a moment, start the engine, and allow it to idle undisturbed for several minutes while the computer completes its relearn cycle. It's an effortless reset that restores factory-like precision. Stay consistent with this when symptoms appear, as the next technique addresses braking wear from an entirely different driving approach. Trick number 5. Intelligent deceleration technique. The typical driving pattern: accelerating toward a stop and braking firmly at the last moment, quietly accelerates where on your entire braking assembly far beyond normal pad consumption. The primary destroyer isn't friction alone. It's extreme heat buildup from late, heavy stops that pushes rotors past 600 degrees Fahrenheit, leading to surface glazing, warping, pulsation, and microscopic fracturing over time. Independent testing and consumer surveys reveal that aggressive late brakers replace pads up to 50% more frequently and rotors several times sooner than those who anticipate stops and ease off the gas early. True deceleration mastery involves lifting off the throttle well in advance, typically 8 to 12 seconds before a full stop, allowing engine braking and momentum loss to slow the vehicle naturally while keeping brake components cool and effective. This method is built into hybrid powertrains like those in the Toyota Prius and Honda Insight, contributing to brake life that routinely exceeds 150,000 miles with minimal service. Apply it consciously on every approach to lights, turns, or downhill sections. Release the accelerator early, let the car coast down smoothly, and apply brakes only lightly if needed for the final stop. You'll experience reduced nosedive, cooler pedal feel, longer-lasting rotors, and even slight fuel savings from reduced energy waste. Master this coasting discipline, because the following check prevents a hidden restriction that can starve your engine of power without triggering any warning lights. Trick number 4. Fuel filter performance verification. Despite its compact size and low cost, the inline fuel filter plays an outsized role in maintaining consistent engine performance by trapping contaminants before they reach sensitive injectors and pumps. Over tens of thousands of miles, debris, rust particles, and tank sediment gradually clog the filter media, creating progressive flow restriction that manifests as hesitation during acceleration, loss of power on inclines, or surging under load, even when the gauge reads half full. In extreme cases, the added strain causes the electric fuel pump to overwork and overheat, leading to premature failure and replacement expenses that often exceed $800, including labor and tank drop. A reliable at-home test. During safe, spirited acceleration, such as highway on-ramp merging, note any stumbling, bogging, or momentary power cut. If present, restriction is likely. Most manufacturers specify replacement intervals around 40,000 to 60,000 miles, but vehicles in dusty environments, with older fuel tanks, or using lower quality gas benefit from earlier swaps. Investing in a timely $20 to $50 filter change shields downstream components like injectors, and the high-pressure pump from contamination damage worth thousands. Prioritize this small but critical service, as the upcoming maintenance directly impacts your ability to stop safely under demanding conditions. Trick number 3. Critical brake fluid renewal cycle. Brake fluid ranks among the most neglected service items, yet it bears responsibility for transmitting hydraulic force to stop several thousand pounds at speed. Its hygroscopic nature, absorbing atmospheric moisture through breathers and seals, degrades performance steadily. Within 24 to 36 months, water content can climb to levels that slash the boiling point dramatically, turning firm pedal feel into dangerous sponginess during repeated hard stops, such as mountain descents or emergency maneuvering. Transportation safety research links moisture-laden fluid to accelerated internal corrosion in calipers, master cylinders, and ABS modulators, contributing to costly pump failures that frequently surpass $1,200. A proactive full brake fluid exchange every 2 to 3 years, using the correct DOT specification, flushes out contaminants, restores high boiling resistance, prevents component pitting, and maintains crisp, confident pedal response regardless of conditions. Make this flush non-negotiable, because the next component generates the very spark that powers every combustion event. Trick number 2. Premium spark plug investment strategy. Choosing budget or off-brand spark plugs may appear economical upfront, but inferior materials and design tolerances quietly erode combustion efficiency, fuel economy, and long-term engine health in ways that compound over time. High RPM modern engines demand precise, consistent ignition thousands of times per minute. Even minor electrode wear or suboptimal heat range disrupts flame propagation, leading to incomplete burns, elevated emissions, and undue stress on ignition coils and catalytic converters. Real-world data and owner experiences demonstrate that subpar plugs can cut mileage by double-digit percentages, provoke misfires, and contribute to catalyst overheating, one of the priciest emissions repairs possible. Consider a documented case. A mid-2010s Toyota Camry driver delayed recommended iridium plug service well beyond interval, resulting in coil-on plug failure and nearly $1,000 in diagnostics and parts that quality plugs at $50 to $80 would have prevented entirely. The clear guideline: always select OEM spec or reputable iridium/precious metal plugs and adhere strictly to the factory replacement schedule. Superior plugs deliver sustained strong spark, restore instant throttle response, maximize fuel efficiency, and shield the expensive three-way catalyst from thermal damage. Commit to quality here, as the final habit teaches you to listen for early warnings long before dashboard indicators illuminate. Trick number 1. Minimum fuel level discipline. Habitually driving with the gauge hovering near empty forces your in-tank fuel pump to operate under its most stressful conditions. Deprived of the surrounding gasoline that serves as both lubricant and coolant, low fuel running allows the pump motor to overheat rapidly, accelerating brush and bearing while stirring up accumulated tank sediment that can clog the pickup strainer or downstream filter. Teardown analyses from pump manufacturers reveal that units from vehicles frequently run below quarter tank operate at significantly higher internal temperatures, shortening service life by substantial margins and increasing failure rates in higher mileage fleets. Replacement, often requiring tank removal, routinely costs $700 to $1,400 depending on vehicle design. The effortless preventive rule: maintain at least a quarter tank at all times, ideally refueling around the halfway mark. This practice keeps the pump submerged and cooled, minimizes debris ingestion, prevents starvation during cornering or hill climbs, and adds no extra expense beyond slight planning. Adopt this zero-cost discipline, and you'll dramatically extend one of the most failure-prone and labor-intensive components. There you have it, the complete set of understated yet powerful habits that separate average lifespan vehicles from true high-mileage champions reaching 300,000 for 100,000 miles and beyond. If any of these insights sparked a plan to protect your own car or saved you from a future headache, show your support with a like, subscribe for more proven longevity content, and let me know in the comments your current odometer reading and which trick you're implementing first. Stay tuned for the next breakdown: the most common yet devastating oil-related errors that quietly sabotage engine durability. You won't want to miss those critical warnings.